Okay, it is 6 p.m. on February 12, 2024. I'm going to call this regular meeting of El Campo City Council to order. Item 2, certificate of quorum. All members are present. Everyone will stand for the pledges and the invocation, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor my Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to represent the citizens of El Campo this evening. We ask that you would give us discernment and wisdom as we take on each item on this agenda. Help us to make the best decisions possible for the citizens of El Campo. Father, we pray for our employees and the citizens of this community. Ask that you keep them safe and well. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Okay, there's no cards. Is there anyone wanting to make a public comment? If not, I'm going to go ahead and skip item 4, the reading of that. Item 5 is the consent agenda. I'm going to pull item 5.2 from the consent agenda and place it on the items for individual consideration. And item 5.3 is being pulled because the application is no longer being submitted, at least at this time. So we have consent agenda item 1, approval of City Council regular meeting minutes of January 22nd, 2024. Would someone like to make a motion to that, approve that?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by President Hancock to approve the minutes of January 22nd. Second.
Second.
Second, Councilman Barger. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve the City Council regular meeting minutes of January 22nd, 2024, please raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, I guess we'll go ahead and take on, let's see. I did pull the right one, didn't I?
Yes, sir, you pulled 2024.
Okay, we're going to discuss right now Resolution 2024-04, affirming support of West Loop Seniors Limited for the West Parkway Senior Housing Development Project's 9% low-income housing tax credit application.
Included in your packet is the resolution he referenced, which would be a motion, a support of this project, which is located on the West Loop, where the existing West Loop senior housing is located. It would be an extension by that. You can see the map within your packet. They're also requesting a commitment to waive $250 in fees. This signals support for their application, and so they've asked us to do that. The resolution that's in the packet does not reference the $250 waive of the fee. So what we ask is that you approve language that approve the resolution, but also ask staff to amend the resolution to include the $250 waive in building permit fees.
They gotta put them over the top.
It's merely to help their application. It gets some points.
Points to who?
For their application for the tax credits with the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. It's a very competitive process. We do not know if they will receive the tax credit or not. So it is entirely possible that this project might not come, or they may elect to do it without the credits. We haven't been told either. But at this point, they're asking for your support on this.
Are there any other types of exemptions on that property as far as taxing it goes?
I'm not quite sure what you're asking, if you're asking,
From a property tax perspective, will they pay full tax on that development as if it was any other privately developed property?
yes, they will.
Depending on how the structure is, they can, trying to remember which program it is, but there's many housing, apartments and facilities like this that do come off of the tax rolls. There's an EDC, I believe, in Dallas that does that, and they're able to go around, and it somehow takes it off the tax rolls for the life of the property. So I think what Mr. Carter is,
Alluding to that request.
well, I don't know what he's doing, I'm just saying that would be something that I would be concerned with, is that if they do go forward with this, is it part of that program, or is that how they're financing it? I don't know who their partners are or anything like that, but it's something I think we need to look in. I apologize, I should have gotten the reference, but that's a big thing that I think is gonna be brought up at the state level, is because it's happened in Austin, Dallas, I think it's happening in Houston quite often. I have no problem supporting this, I'm just saying we need to make sure that there is some kind of taxable revenue at some point.
You have something you want to say, Crystal?
Yeah, or I can, this resolution doesn't address that at all. It's only talking about the potential tax credit that they would receive by the support of our resolution. But it's worth noting that and continuing that dialogue after, it should council approve this resolution.
Mayor Corby, is there a reason that you pulled this out to discuss?
Yes, because the $250 was not in the resolution.
Okay.
So I pulled it out so that we could add the $250 to the resolution, if the resolution's approved. So, would anyone like to make a motion in regard to Resolution 2024-04?
Mayor, I move to approve Resolution 2024-04 and have the resolution amended to include the $250, what should I call it?
Fee waiver.
Waive.
Okay. Motion by Councilman Koblenz. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem. Any more discussion?
Yeah, I have another question, and Courtney, I guess this is really for you. So we get our approval of this project, and they take it to whomever they go to and say, hey, look, the city's work, or is considered working with us. In fact, so much so that they waived this $250 fee. Fine. Hey, but this still comes back to us in the event with other stuff, at which point we can discuss things that we like or may not like. I mean, help me out. I mean, there's nothing really to it. Are we really approving something? Or are we just saying that we like the idea, you guys have at it, let us know?
Crystal's gonna tell us about that.
Sure. So we still get to do the site planning process like we would do with any development project. What this is just saying that you support their application to the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. It's part of the scoring criteria, so if they get a resolution of support from the city, then it adds to their points to be able to get awarded. So there's only 3 projects that have been applied for in our division, one in Huntsville, and maybe 4 actually, 2 here, the one that pulled out. So we're in competition with 2 others at this point, and these points could potentially give them the opportunity to be approved for the tax credit, which is part of the financing package. It doesn't make or break the project because they may not be able to make it happen, but it gives them that one step up with that tax credit piece. So we still get to do everything else we would normally do with a development project.
I know we're very much in need of additional senior citizen housing. And what's neat about this is it's right next door to a current housing project, which stays full and which has a waiting list. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving Resolution 2024-04, affirming support of the West Loop Seniors Limited for the West Parkway Senior Housing Development Project 9% low-income housing tax credit application with the waiver of the $250 permit fee, building permit fee. Please raise your right hand. Okay, motion passes unanimously. now moving to item 6.1, Resolution R 2024-06, authorizing the advanced funding agreement, CSJ 0913 to 09132, for Jackson Street Safe Sidewalks Project with the Texas Department of Transportation, Public Transportation Division, Transportation Alternatives Program Project, and authorizing the city manager of the city of El Campo to execute this agreement.
As the mayor said, this is the sidewalk grant that we received in the amount of $3.7 million. You can see that amount right there along Jackson Street. It extends all the way down this corridor to Liberty Street. The advanced funding agreement approval via resolution is the next step so that we can get this project going. We've had a kickoff meeting. TxDOT will be managing this project. That means that the city will not be going out for bids, and we will not be submitting for a reimbursement. But I'd like to turn your attention to page 42. It is the last page of the AFA and probably the most important page to you, which indicates the city's commitment to this project. And what you will see on that last bullet point, or third to last bullet point, I believe, is that the city's utilizing our transportation credits, and if you scroll down, you can see what that amount is, and the amount of $745,202.55 in place of us spending that. And so we're really pleased that this project won't require funds from the city's coffers to support this. So we ask that you approve this resolution so we can continue to work with TxDOT on this project.
How did we earn those credits?
Kevin, are you familiar with how those credits were developed? You would know better than I.
So, El Campo and Horton County are part of an economically disadvantaged transportation group, and they look at those as how many projects we have in our area that we've already approved, and they came back on that and gave us full amount for transportation, which is great.
Nice work.
When will they start this project?
Probably get the kickoff. They might notice proceed somewhere around September, October of this year, depending upon the engineer.
If they build it as fast as the other people built the sidewalk, we're in good shape.
I agree.
That is nice a job.
Yeah.
Will it be on both sides of Jackson?
No, it's only one side.
The north side?
It would be the north side, the park side.
Thank you.
All these sidewalks built, we're all gonna have to get us one of those electric scooters.
Would someone like to make a resolution in regard to resolution R 20?
Mayor, I move we approve resolution R 2024-06.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Hancock, second by Councilman Hodges, to approve resolution R 2024-06 regarding the sidewalk project on Jackson Street. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve R 2024-06, please raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Item 6.2, Resolution R 2024-07, amending and adopting a social media policy.
Also included in your packet is this resolution, and you'll note in the description, the narrative, that we have not amended this policy or brought it back to you since 2018, and you can tell the technology is constantly changing. And one of the things that we've seen since 2018 is the state ban of TikTok on city-owned devices. So you'll find that in here, as well as addressing privacy concerns, misinformation, cyberbullying, and personal and professional conduct on social media. So that's why we brought it back for you to take a look at and hopefully adopt.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve resolution R 2024-07 as presented.
Okay. Motion by Councilman Barger. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Second by Councilman Koblenz.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor of approving the resolution R 2024-07, amending and adopting a social media policy, please raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Item 6.3, Resolution R 2024-08, authorizing the city of El Campo to participate in the Texas Smart Buy membership program and authorizing the city manager to execute the program agreement with the Texas Controller of Public Accounts.
Now, this is the night of resolutions for you guys. I think we're trying to set some records here. This resolution allows the city to join the Smart Buy membership. This allows us to leverage the state's economies of scope so that or economies of scale rather, so that we can get good deals on our gas cards and our credit cards. We currently run through them, and we need to pass this resolution and continue to be a member or to pick up the membership to get our deals on those gas cards and those city credit cards.
Mayor, I'll make a motion, we approve resolution R 2024-08.
A motion to approve by Councilman Hodges. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Councilman Carter. Any discussion? All in favor of approving resolution R 2024-08, authorizing the city of El Campo to participate in the Texas Smart Buy membership program, please raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Item 6.4, request for positions to fiscal year 24 budget, fiscal services coordinator and a director of information technology.
This is an unusual request, as we have not done this in the 18 years, or nearly 18 years I've been with the city. We're asking for a mid-year approval of these positions. Note, not the people. We do not have these two positions funded in the budget. So our request is that using excess sales tax, which is right at $615,000 as of today, or 28% over what we were last year, that we fund these two positions. And let me walk you through both of them. Let's start with the fiscal services coordinator. And the reason we called it a coordinator is because it's a mid-level management position. So not anticipate at this time that they would have a supervisory capacity, but they would step in for your finance director in her absence. This position will be responsible for making sure you get that budget as quickly as you can and not just putting it on our website, which is where it is right now. It would make sure that we do the day-to-day operation and there's continuity of service. And I indicate in my narrative that you're running around a $50 million budget. You typically had 3 to 4 people in this department, and right now you're operating with 2.5. So I'm requesting that you grant us this position instead of making us wait until October to request this position in the budget. Should be noted, we did consider the first position. It was briefly just entertained in my head, at least internally, about adding positions in the budget last year, but our priority was public works and police. We wanted to get those pay up while keeping that tax rate down, and so that's why you didn't see these before. The second position is an IT position that would be in-house. So this would allow us, this person would be on site to do the day-to-day operations. We do have a contract right now, but this person would be here to make sure that when our network goes down. Today we lost access to our shared drives, and we were without them for several hours because we didn't have anyone on site to do that. We have to call. Our company is out of Tennessee. It takes time, and I know you saw our last meeting, we had no audio for our streaming. And so these are instances where it would be useful to have a person at our disposal and not just a company. And so that's why we're requesting the second one. I will be happy to answer any questions you have on these positions. It is anticipated that we would begin advertising, if they're approved, we would begin advertising them as quickly as possible, and then we'll be hiring. You will not receive, I'll tell you the names, we'll be bringing the IT director back to you, but on the second one, because it is a mid-level management position, we'll make a hire. I'll notify you of who that is, of course, but that will be done internally by the staff, and then the IT will be approved as per charter by this council.
And how did you come up with the pay range?
We looked at other cities, and then we looked at where our existing personnel are. So for the fiscal services coordinator, we wanted to separate them from the existing accountant, who primarily does our accounts payable. We wanted to make sure that this position was slightly higher and not as high as a department head. And then on the director of IT, again, we looked at comparable cities. We saw what unfortunately, we did look at what Rosenberg and Sugar Land, we can't pay what they pay. That IT pay would be for a technician at their level, but we felt like that was fair to put them in line at the base pay for a director. That's the lowest range for a director you have right now. So that is why that pay range was,
That's a pretty good spread.
it sure is, it sure is.
That's why.
Unfortunately, the ranges are that wide, and so that's why you see that. But we wanted to, for full disclosure and full transparency, we wanted to post the range. We're not expecting to pay either of these positions at the top end.
Is our accountant a degreed accountant?
Our current one is not. We do not. The only person degreed in that department that I'm aware of is your director of finance.
Quick question. How much is the outside IT firm that we pay now, roughly?
It's complicated because we also pay them for software. They procure a lot of our software, but our contract's roughly with the software around $140,000 annually.
So we hired this new director of IT, and then we are just on the hook for software going forward?
That is our long-term goal, yes.
How long, I mean, is it like after this contract, if this gets approved, you hire him, the contract expires, say, in 90 days, that's the length of the.
We think we would need to run the contract in tandem for a minimum of 5 months or 6 months to the new budget cycle, so that we could make sure that nothing falls off. There is so many things that they have access to that we don't have access to. I mean, there's passwords to servers that our staff doesn't have. So we just want to make sure that everything kind of transitions. Ideally, it would occur before that, but we anticipate that it could be as long as.
But the hiring of the director of IT will also prove some savings on the other side.
Ultimately, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Councilman Barker, maybe pull his mic closer to his face so he can hear whatever you want. Thank you.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion in regard to funding or amending the budget, I guess, to allow the city to start advertising for a fiscal services coordinator and a director of information technology?
Mayor, I'll move to approve the request of a fiscal service coordinator, state the pay ranges, and the director of IT as presented.
Okay. Motion by Councilman Barger. Someone like to second that motion?
I'll second it.
Is that David?
It's Mr. Hodges.
Second by Councilman Hodges. Any further discussion?
I would like to ask about our funding of these projects. We were really worried about our sales tax income last year, and we've had a big windfall this year. I don't know where that windfall is coming from, but I think we need to have an understanding of where that windfall is coming from before we spend the money. So we've seen our sales taxes go way up and way down in the past, and I'd hate to think that we're getting this big windfall in sales tax income, and we spend part of the money, and all of a sudden we're back where we were last year.
Yep.
Do we have any idea where this sales tax money is coming from?
We do, but some of that information is confidential in a report that only I can receive, and I can't release the names or the vendors or the amounts of who's collecting the most. There is a top 10 taxpayers that's released every month, but to protect the vendors and protect the businesses, it doesn't disclose how much they're collecting, so you can't back into their sales amount. That's the idea anyways. So we're monitoring it on our side. We're paying attention to who that top one is and those top 5 are to make sure that they're stable. And what we've seen for this fiscal year is they're stable. You know I'm conservative, and I'm always going to err on the side of making sure we undershoot it. But you're right, the bottom can be pulled out. So that's why our thought was, well, you've got that now. I don't know if that number will grow, but we're only looking at taking, you're funding these positions half a year. We're going to take a third or a fourth of it.
We don't wanna hire anybody that we're gonna have to let go after half a year or something.
Well, you would technically support them potentially through your ad valorem taxes in the future. And actually, the IT position would be supported through all 3 funds in the upcoming budget cycle. So you'd be leaning on EMS, which is not music to his ears, and the utility fund as well. So we would be splitting those out. But you're right, if the sales tax drops, it could happen to any position. We'd have to look at where our priorities are there. Good point. Something for us to think about. It might be helpful if you see that top 10 list on a monthly basis.
Seems like I've seen it at some point, and I couldn't figure out.
It's hard to make sense of that.
One of those top earners was actually getting that much money, but I don't know how it works.
Sure.
The very top earner confounds all of us, but the very top earner confounds all of us. But you don't kiss a gift horse in the mouth.
What, just curiosity, what will the benefit be tax-wise to the apartments that are being built on the loop?
The current ones being under construction, I don't have the value. I can get that to you, Mr. Hodges.
Okay.
I'll get that to you.
Our secretary's trying to get our attention.
Yeah, she's saying it's not this agenda item.
We're getting off.
So I'll get with you offline, Mr. Hodges, and I'll get you that information.
I think it would be on task, because it's really.
We're trying to figure out how to pay for these
Exactly, if we approve this, we go forward, we hire them.
You don't want to let them go in
Well,
October.
I mean, I think it's a valid question, how are we gonna pay for things going forward, because this is a reoccurring expense.
That's the reason I asked, because it's not just sales tax that we're benefiting from.
You're right.
Good one.
The IT director, once we get the tandem deal behind us, will
Yeah,
actually
you-
be saving us money.
You'll actually, yeah.
My question would be is, you said that you discussed these, or you were considering these in the last fiscal budget, and chose not to keep the rate lower. So are there other positions that you're gonna bring to us?
We look at those annually. I know that we talk about a potential, some things you might see in the next budget cycle could be a potential police officer, code enforcement position in the parks, but we have to make sure that the numbers balance and that we provide you with a budget that can support that. So it's possible, it's unlikely you'll see that request in this budget cycle, the current one we're in, but it could be on the budget in 25 or even 26. And again, the savings you're talking about may from the IT position could potentially help fund one or some of those positions.
So I just caution us to add employees. I don't wanna say unnecessarily, but I would caution, because those are reoccurring expenses, and then you also have the benefits that go along with it. And I would say too that, they're here forever. If we're basing this upon sales tax, as it stated earlier, fluctuates up and down, and our sales tax should be utilized for one-time expenses when we have a surplus. Just think just have to be cautious.
Thomas?
Question. So under the current structure and how we're handling IT and all of this, I guess I'm trying to figure out how important is it that we do something? What is the downside of not? I mean, could we actually fall into an outage and we can't fix it, or is there something drastic that could happen? Because if there's not a need for it, apparently there is, because you wouldn't bring it if there wasn't a need. What is the downside of not doing anything with it? Did I make that clear?
You did, and I want to be careful because we're in a contract. I want to measure my words very carefully. You're currently in a contract with a company out of Tennessee. They have all the codes to everything we have and access to everything we have, and we do not. Should this company elect, I have no reason to believe this, but should they elect to raise your rates significantly, you are in a contract, they probably wouldn't do that, but should they elect to go 20%, you're at their mercy at this point. That doesn't mean you're at their mercy right now. We were hoping to run the contract in tandem so that you wouldn't be subjected to just hiring someone and canceling that contract, and then all kinds of things go wrong. And there will definitely be a learning curve to whoever takes on that position, because they've got to learn our system. So is it critical? Do we have to have this position right now? I think I can tell you, if council elects to defer the hiring or the posting of this position, we would be okay, but I will be asking for it again.
Does it give you more control and independence? Is that
Yeah, there's some more autonomy with having our own person. Also means that they work for us, so they're a little more accountable when we have an outage. Right now, we email them that we have a problem. If you get locked out of your computer, this is how it works. If you get locked out of your computer, you email them, because you don't have access to your computer, so hopefully you have it on your device, your cell phone. And then you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and 3 hours later you get in. And that's only because the Purple Guys is nationwide. So it's difficult for us to be, we used to be under Advantex until they got bought out by the Purple Guys, and we were the big fish in the small pond, and now we're a small fish in a big pond. And so that's what triggered this.
Thank you.
When we hire someone like this, what do we figure the city's total cost is, percentage-wise above their salary?
On benefits, I don't have a,
Benefits and the insurance,
it's a dollar amount, I don't have a percentage, well, some of it's a percentage.
I'd have to figure that and get back to you.
On this, on this particular position, we'll be bringing it back to you, not only the salary, but we'll let you know about the benefits too, before we
total
hire.
cost when we're looking at something like
Yeah,
this, we ought to consider the total
if
cost.
you authorize this tonight, you will see that second position again before we make the hire. So,
Courtney, the IT person would work for the police department and the EMS also.
yes, he would,
Not separate.
correct. Actually, the IT person would likely be housed out of the public safety building, because that's where our servers are. The job description you see requires that they're CJIS qualified, so that that means they have their fingerprinting and the training to deal with the IT needs for our police department. Yeah, and-
Obviously, it's a position that's gonna be more important as time goes on.
I know when I worked for the city, when the IT person was here from Advantex, the PD and fire and EMS kind of hogged his time. It was hard for us to get him over here. So with him on site full-time, that was really nice.
We'll still do that, Mayor.
You'll still do it.
We'll try.
So you find an office if you allow this.
I'll find an office.
Well, emergency services are very important, so, any more discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve a request for positions to fiscal year '24 budget for fiscal services coordinator and a director of information technology. All in favor of that motion, please raise your right hand. Okay, all against, nay, none. Motion passes unanimously. I think this is gonna pay dividends for us, I really do.
That is my intent.
And it's amazing that 2.5 people are currently handling the size budget that they are.
Any help?
Okay, that finishes the item 6. Moving on to item 7, reports. Police Department has a racial profile report for the year 2023.
And as required by law, this report was included in your packet. You can see on your screen that this report was submitted to TCOL on January 19th. Chief Margarell is here if you have any questions for him regarding this report, or if you want to add any remarks.
I will say a couple items, and looking at it, I think it's reflective of the makeup of our city, our traffic stops, so I was pleased. This is the first one that I've looked at as chief. And, what I'm looking for is to make sure we don't have anything that stands out. Usually, the problem with this state, as you know, is, when I say the state, it's a state mandate, and it's kind of cookie cutter, and it's all the stops you see, even a town of our size, we're talking about, 4,000 or 5,000 stops. So what we look at, actually, we don't rely on this per se, but we look at individual officers, that if we get complaints on them, and we start looking at them to see, what are you doing? And I haven't found any instances of that since I've been there, and I've even looked at the records. So I'm always confident, even before I run this report, that I'm not gonna have an issue, because I would have, some indication based upon individual officer. And again, as you look at it, it pretty much reflects the racial makeup of our city. And so I don't really see anything that stands out that would cause me concern. And if anyone ever has a question about it, just give me a call.
So I have a question. The stops you make on the US highway, we're talking about Highway 59 loop around town? I didn't realize we were working that highway that much.
Well, we do. One of it was, we still have the holdover from when we had the Operation Lone Star grant, and part of it had to do with interdiction. So some of that was mandated. We finished that grant this last year. So some of those numbers are still indicative of that.
Okay. But we still work the highway out there?
Yes, we still work it.
Why?
Well, the issue is, and I can tell you this, is my philosophy is that we're not out there just to write tickets. We're out there for safety. So we do have some major crashes there with some issues. And so what we try to focus on is those kind of things that are gonna hopefully reduce, those types of accidents. That's our driver on that. And it applies to city streets, applies to the state highway, and that's my philosophy on traffic enforcement. It's two things. One is obviously issues where we might have wrecks and we need to look at that, school zones, and then citizen complaints. So that's kind of what drives us on traffic enforcement. And so with 59, I would expect some activity on there, because we do get some pretty major wrecks up there from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Another thing on that, Chief, at the 100 Club Awards banquet, the DPS lieutenant thanked the sheriff's departments and the police departments for helping with 59, because all their black and whites were down at the border.
I realize that, but my feeling is, we don't necessarily need to spend money out there on the highway when the county and the state really have that responsibility.
Well, it was mainly the sheriff's department that he recognized. But the lieutenant did say that they're back, so I saw a bunch of black and whites on 59 this
I
week.
did too over the weekend.
Several people tell me about that. They drove between here and Rosenberg and saw like 8, 9, black and whites on the road. So yes, there are some of them that are back from the border, but they may leave again tomorrow. We don't know. But yeah, like I said, our enforcement is based upon safety issues. We're not out there, and I made it very clear that I feel like this town has a great reputation, and if you just start nitpicking everything, you're going to get a bad reputation in law enforcement. So our view is, if you notice, we do write more warnings, and that's because the whole point is to try to get people to comply. So if we can make them comply with a warning, we'll give you a warning. And if we the only thing I will say is we're pretty strict in the school zones. So if someone's going to the school zone, then my expectation is there's a much greater chance you're gonna get a regular ticket, not a warning. And so that's kind of my philosophy on traffic enforcement.
My neighborhood is around a lot of the schools, and I see a police officer going by all the time, circling the schools, going up and down Pecan Street, Meadow Lane, and Morris Street, or sitting in the parking lot at the schools, so I think y'all are doing a great job with that.
I'm glad to hear that, because that's a real concern of mine.
Anybody in that neighborhood, anybody driving around there is gonna see a policeman all the time.
Good.
Any more questions for the chief? Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Item 7.2, the FY24 first quarter reports, investment, departmental,
Right.
financial.
And this is the quarter that ended at the end of last year. I would point out to you, it looks like page 91 of your packet, the money market account accrued interest is right at 56,000. That's for the first quarter of your year. You budgeted 52,600 in total for interest. So if you're looking for additional revenue, you might have found it there too. We just didn't want to rely on that because we know the feds are going to lower those rates sometime this year, although not necessarily anytime soon. So we're paying attention to that. Just letting you know we're all over this as we can be, and with additional help in finance, we'll be able to continue to monitor these carefully. The other thing I wanted you to note was that the budget report includes every single account we have. You guys used to see a summary. It was an Excel spreadsheet that we provided to you, and now we are electing to provide you with the data that comes straight out of our ledger. Mr. Ward, this is in an effort to provide full transparency so that you can see where we are on everything. And we would be happy to answer any questions. Finally, we brought back the quarterly reports in the old format. You haven't probably seen it this way since, we think, 2018, 19. 2020, but we wanted continuity in these quarterly reports, so they're data from each department, but you can see there's a comparison as we've been requested to do in the past, but we didn't ask for the information is from your departments, however, it's all formatted the same. We thought that would be a little more fair. Some of our departments do a better job than others of providing pictures and data. We didn't want you to be drawn to the picture of the public works guy putting out the fire. So we've got some continuity there. Myself or the department heads will be happy to answer any questions you might have on any of these line items.
I got another question. It looks to me like you keep a whole lot of cash in readily available, low interest deposits, and I kind of wonder why.
The reason we've left a lot of our money in LGIPs, local government pools, or we've done these the cash is because some of those are earmarked funds for the ARP project. That's several $1 million that we did not want to tie up because we knew the draws were going to be coming, and they have been coming. Additionally, we haven't paid the contract yet for TMS, which is your vendor that you approved for the sanitary sewer rehab. So a lot of it's still in there because we know these funds are marked for purposes that we're using right now. They just haven't been drawn out.
Okay, just so y'all looking at it.
We can absolutely do a better job of that, and we will with this new position.
Is that why we have such a large fund balance right now? And $12 million is for, whether it's debt service or.
Yes, sir, that's all included in
Okay,
there.
because I was gonna say, that's 6 months worth of operating
Yeah,
revenue.
that's why, yes, sir, you're exactly right.
Okay.
Any more questions on that? Okay. Moving on to item 7.3, budget calendar, FY25.
No crime here. You might not have to deal with this one. You won't have to deal with this one. This is for your sake, so you can see the meeting schedule and know which meetings we're going to need you at. It's just a calendar of events. It's the same one we pass out every year, but updated. If you have any questions or you have any conflicts, please let us know, and we'll work around those.
Looks like staff's get started on that, and some of you already started, I'm sure. Okay, 7.4, city manager's report.
Two things. We have a special called meeting on February 26th with the CDC board at 5 p.m. in this room. We have confirmed that the board that they can make it, so they will be here. I continually send you reminders of that in my updates. That will not stop. And the second thing is, sadly, the city of Sugar Land has a fallen public works worker named Joe Aponte. He has El Campo roots, and the reason I mention this is because tomorrow his service will be at Triska's, and you will see a large procession of City of Sugar Land public work vehicles en route, as well as our public works serving as honor guard for this individual that sadly lost his life while working last week.
How are y'all going to do that, Kevin? You gonna be on both sides of the street?
At intersections, yes.
Intersection. Okay. So they don't have to stop at intersections. Will they have a police escort through town?
The Sugar Land Police has provided for us our escort, chief of Sugar Land. Office and,
Okay, that's good. Okay, thank y'all for doing that. Okay, it is 7:46 PM. We're going to go into executive session pursuant to section 551.072, deliberation regarding the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, XDOT property. So, everyone step out, please, for a little while. Feel free to hang around and you can come back.
Hey, Kevin, will you sit tight? They may have a question about this one.
6:50 PM. We are going to leave executive session and return to open session. There will be no action on the item, the TxDOT property item that we discussed. That completes the agenda, so we are adjourned.
Mayor, don't hit your cell phone with that gavel.
I was watching it.
Yeah.